Sorry about that, y'all. I was multitasking. I didn't realize. Well, I realized I had started the live, but won't paying attention. Shalom and good evening. Like to bid a shalom to the bride of the Messiah, to the 144,000, and to the nation of Israel. This is something that y'all have been waiting for. Just give me a few minutes. Let me notify a sister right quick. Okay. Shalom, sis. I'm on now. All right. Shalom. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm still learning how to multitask and work these devices. So it may take me, a couple minutes before we get started. But go ahead and check the video description box for the links because we're going in deep tonight. I know y'all been waiting for part 8, and I'm very excited to give you part 8 because it's time for us to learn the mystery of the scapegoat when he entered into the wilderness and what did that mean. Okay, shalom and good evening for those who came aboard. We are in the season now where the Father is revealing his mysteries unto us. He's also revealing his heavenly messages unto us. And you're not going to find it being given by some of the camps, some of the church, some of the mores, some of the sisters, etc. You're not going to find many preaching this unto you because, again, they are mysteries and they are messages from the Father above. And to know these things, you have to bear his spirit. His spirit has to be in you to reveal these things unto our brethren and to our sisters. So let me notify one more sister, but I don't have to call. Let me see here. I got the multitask, y'all. Still learning about these devices and how to work it, but all praises to y'all. Let me turn this volume down because I don't want to have an echo going here. Let me see here. But I give him all praises that he's given me understanding how to work these devices and how to use him according to his will. Okay. And I give him praises for that. Now I am going to touch a little bit on part 7. For those who are new and just coming aboard, I highly recommend that you watch all those parts because I'm only going to be touching on a little bit from those parts. Okay. You need to go back so you can get all the scriptures and see where that comes from. Okay. Almost done, y'all. One last person, and then we can start. Let me see how to get to that person here. And let me see. Here you go. Look for this person. I hope this is the right phone number for this person because people change the number so much. Let me go back to my call list just to make sure this was the one because sometimes the numbers don't even show up. Let me see here. I do apologize, y'all. I try to get all this stuff done before we start, but sometimes the mind can't remember everything. Let me see what number she called me from. Okay. I'm about to say it should show me what number they call me from so I can make sure I text them at the right number. Okay, that's it. All right. Whew. I think that's it for right now, y'all. Try to, like I said, I really need someone to help me when I do these videos because it's too much I have to do. And I'm the type, I like to go ahead and get started in the word. I don't want to have to worry about all these minor things to do. But unfortunately, where I'm at, I'm the only person on my team. Okay, so I do apologize. But as you see, y'all, as you see before you, I want you to meditate on that picture because this is a beautiful example of the goat enter into the wilderness. Now, some of y'all may think the wilderness is a forest that's made up of trees. And some of y'all may think the wilderness is a desert. It is both. And we'll talk more about that in this video because this, remember, the Messiah was setting a twofold example. Okay. We talked about one part of it in part 7. Okay. And I'm doing the last thing here. Okay. And this is going to take forever. Okay. So what you see before you is a goat. Okay. And we're going to go to Leviticus chapter 16 again. And we know that this is the second goat, and this goat is kept alive. Okay. We also know that this goat has to be carried by a fitted man. And when this fitted man return, he has to bathe himself because we understand in what I think it was either part 4 or 5 when we learn about the meaning of Azael, we understand why this fitted man had to be washed, had to be clean. Okay, very important. Torah speaks a lot of volume unto us, and we have to pay attention to the details. Okay, and then the fitted man released this goat to go into the wilderness. And that is the mystery. It represents what the Messiah said before the bride, the 144,000, and the nation of Israel. Okay. Now, again, the Father's reminded me to remind you to please check the video description box. There's some very important things for you, but most importantly, listen to his prophetic messages. He has spoken unto us. He has confirmed unto us the season. Okay, for we know he is visiting the earth. For Zion, affliction has been fulfilled. The 400 years have been fulfilled, and the whore that sits upon the beast, which is Babylon or mystery Babylon, she has revealed, which is America. She has revealed unto us that the Hebrews has completed their 400 years since they've been in this country. Okay, so like I say, we have sign upon sign and confirmation upon confirmation in the heavens and in the earth. Okay, so please remember to check out his prophetic messages and to print them out and to share them with your family, your friends, and the strangers. Okay, almost about to get started here. Just bringing some folks in. Like I said, I'm multitasking between Facebook and everything else. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure I didn't leave anybody out that I can think of. If not, I can re-add them back in later. Okay. All right. Let me see. Okay. So I want you to take a look at this picture. Why would you think the Most High would bring his people into a wilderness, into a desert? Because when you study Torah, you will learn where he taken his people to. It was a wilderness, but this wilderness was a desert. Why do you think he brought his people into a desert? What do you think the great I am reasons for that? Do I have anyone to volunteer and to give me an answer on that tonight? While I'm letting y'all meditate on that, the Father's reminded me we'll be entering into a new month. For the 7th month is ending very soon. For we are on the lookout for the new moon. For the prophet Enoch has said unto us, the beginning of the month is the crescent of the moon. The beginning of the month is the crescent of the moon because that is the phase when light first shines upon her. Okay. Please read the prophet writings to understand the Most High calendar, as well as there are videos on the channel to further your understanding. Do I have anyone to volunteer why they think the desert? Sorry about that, y'all. I was multitasking again. Didn't need to do that. Why y'all think the Most High would bring His people into a desert? Do I have any volunteers? Okay, I see a comment. I'm gonna post your comment so people can see what you say. Now, this is Sister Evelyn. She says to teach his children to depend only on him. Now, y'all, that kind of wrap everything up about the great I am. Now, by teaching his children to depend on him completely, what else would that strengthen? What no, the thing that he was looking from them. What else would that strengthen? Think about it. Remember, I told you about the three things that would determine that will determine if you will make it into the kingdom. Okay, let me see. Yes, it's one of those three things that would determine if you'll make it into the kingdom. I want you to think about it because this answer that our sister gave is right on the money. So by teaching his children to complete to depend on him completely, y'all. Forgive my tongue. What else is the Father's teaching his children to have in him? What is that magic word? Okay, I have an answer here. I want to show you an answer. Okay, Brother Key say relationship. Okay, in a relationship that you have with the Most High, what is the Most High is establishing in you? Okay, because we know we are married unto Him, right? Because of His Spirit dwell in us, which is what the Comforter. Okay, which makes us what the children of Yah. So, because we are married unto Him, we are joined unto Him. What is He establishing in you? Think about a man and wife relationship. What is, especially the man, want the wife to know, especially when he go out in the world and he's working and he's providing. That's it. Thank you, brother. Thank you. And I'm gonna show both answers. Brother Keith said faith, and I think this is Sister Dale says faith. That's what it is. That's what he was teaching the children of Israel, is to have faith in him. Okay? Because when you understand the miracle of what the Messiah did of turning the water into wine, and you read the book of Mary Magdalene, and that book list is listed in the video description box, it will reveal unto you the what's the word I'm about to say? How powerful the Spirit is. And when you have faith in the Spirit, you know all things can be comfort, can be can't say the word, can be accomplished by the Spirit. For with our fleshy eyes, if we're in the desert, like this goat here. Oh, let me also show my brother. I'm from the light, Golden 85. He also said faith, patience, and trust. Also, Shalom, sister. You're right. All these things. These are the fruits. Oh yeah. Oh, Father's taking them out to the fruits of the Spirit. Galatians 5. These are the fruits that the Father wanted to develop in the children of Israel. Okay. Okay. Um. All right. So let me get my thought together. Y'all get back on track because so much is coming in. Faith. That's what He wants His children to have. Faith in Him, to believe in Him, because through the Spirit, which He is a Spirit, all things can be done. Because with our carnal eyes, with our fleshy eyes, if picture yourself in this desert, all we see is what? Nothingness. Nothingness, right? We don't see no water. We don't see no food. We don't see no shelter. We only see what? A harsh land. And only thing we see is what? Death. Okay? That's what we see when we're in the desert, right? It's a barren land. It's an unproductive land, right? But when you when excuse me, y'all, when the spirit of Yah dwell in you, the spirit lets you know it sees not poverty, not death, not barrenness, but it sees what? Plentifulness. Okay? It sees fruitfulness. And the reason why it sees that, because the spirit has the power to create anything out of nothing. Go back to Genesis. Go back to Genesis. Okay? Go back to Genesis. When his father spoke it, the word went forth and what? Created it out of nothing. That's what he was trying to get his people to see. I am your God. I am the Most High. And I can get you out of any situation. But all I need from you is to what? Trust and to believe in me. That's what he was looking for from his people. Do y'all get it now? Do you see it? Okay? That's right, abundance. That's what the spirit sees. That's what we can't see. Give you another example. Remember what the Messiah said to us? You will be able to move mountains. Why? Because of that spirit that's in you. That's how powerful it is. But it's only activated is by what? By your faith. You got to have faith. You got to believe. And you got to trust. All right? All right. Now let's get into the meat because we got a lot to talk about tonight. A lot. And this may be a little lengthy video, but y'all, it's going to be worth it. Okay? All right. Let us eat this evening. This is on the Most High Shabbat night, his Sabbath day, which is the 7-day rest, which is a blessing to be on this night to give you this mystery. All right. So we're going to go to Leviticus chapter 16 to build a foundation. Okay. We're going to start with the appetizer first. Let me see here. There we go. And the link is in the video description box for those who do not have a copy of the 1611. Now I want you to take this time now to pause your screen and read the chapter summary. Tonight I'm not going to read it because we have a lot to cover. Okay? Then we go to Leviticus chapter 16 and we're going to look at I believe it started at verse 21, but let me scroll down and see. Okay. So notice this in verse 20. And when he had made an end of reconciling the holy place and the tabernacle congregation and the altar, he shall bring the live goat. So after that is done, pay attention. Remember what the Messiah did. Okay? With the disciples. Okay? Prepping them, right? Because it deals with what? I think it's John chapter 2 or 3, or what they will become when he returns or when he resurrects from his grave. We talked about that in other parts, but I just want you to think about it. Okay? Just as you have the physical tabernacle or tent tabernacle being what? Cleansed, so shall the same be in the spiritual tabernacle that we're in now in the new covenant. For we are waiting the heavenly tabernacle to come. Okay? All right, verse 21. And Aaron shall lay both his hands upon the head of the live goat, and confess over him all the iniquities of the children of Israel, and all their transgressions, and all their sins, putting them upon the head of the goat, and shall send him away by the hand of a fit man into the wilderness. Now, in the other part 7, I told you what words to underline. You need to, for this part, we're going to look at wilderness. wilderness. I will be touching a little bit on part 7 that I may have left out, but the sole focus on this video in part 8 is the wilderness. Okay. So this live goat, the scapegoat known as Azael, is taken into the wilderness by a fitted man. So it's let us know not anyone can do this. He has to be what fitted for this. Okay. Again, it should start setting off light bulb about the Messiah, because we know this is for Saturn, what the Messiah shall do, and the example that he set for the bride, the 144, and the nation of Israel to follow. Verse 22, and the goat shall bear upon him all their iniquities unto a land not inhabited, and he shall let go the goat in the wilderness. So we know this land is not inhabited. You want to underline that, because we're going to get the full interpretation of that tonight. Okay. I need to make a note for myself to make sure I touch on it at the end. Okay. When we summarize this word, land not inhabited. And we know this has to do with what? The wilderness. Right? So this land is not a place where one can dwell. Okay. There's several ways to look at this. Or this is a place where flesh and blood cannot dwell. Again, it's like 2 or 3 folds in this. And you'll see as we look at each group, because the Messiah is going to define what the wilderness is for the bride, for the 144, and for the nation of Israel. Okay? All right. Shalom, sis. And yes, Shabbat Shalom. Okay. And I'm saying that to Sister Huda. All right. Now that we have set the foundation, let me look at my note and see where we're going to go first tonight. Okay. I just need to tie this in. I do need to touch on part 7 first. Okay. Some things that the Father want me to bring to your attention that I didn't say in that video, with the mystery of touch me not. Remember when Miriam was about to touch the Messiah and he said, Miriam, do not touch me. Okay, so we went over that mystery. But one of the chapters the Father want me to bring out to you for silent reading, I want you to read Exodus chapter 39. But this evening we're going to go to Exodus chapter 28, because I want to share with y'all a nugget. And we touched on this nugget in part 1. Part 1. Okay, so we're going to go to Exodus chapter 28 tonight. And we're going to look at first verse 1 through 3. Okay, this is again, I was just going to still touch on part 7 and part 1, but we're going to look at just a couple of verses in chapter 28. All right, and I am going to take you to the part of the Bible summary, but I'm not going to read it tonight for the sake of time. But, read it quietly. Just pause your screen. Okay. This is a nugget I'm giving unto you. We're going to read verse 1 through 3. And take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother and his sons with him from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. So verse 1 is letting you know who are the ones that could hold the high priest office. It is only Aaron and his son, only his lineage can hold that position. For when you study Torah, his brethren, who are the Levites, will assist him in that ministry, but Aaron and his sons and his lineage are the only one that can hold the high priest office. And as you read further, you will learn they took what's the word? Not a role, but they would exchange out. David set it up about who would do what and when. Okay, as that lineage grows. All right. Again, it's very interesting to study about the Levites and Aaron's sons. For when you read Ezekiel writings from chapter 40 to 48, you will also learn there is a judgment upon the Levites they have to bear in the new kingdom. So you definitely want to check that out. But just getting straight to the point, Aaron and his son, what are the foreshadow of the Messiah? Because we know according to the prophets that the Messiah shall what? Shall hold two offices or two positions, which is he shall be king and he shall be what? High priest. Now he followed after the order of Melchizedek. And this is why I say in the prior videos, this is very important that you read the whole book of Hebrews. And to get more understanding about Melchizedek, he's also mentioned the book of Songs, he's mentioned the book of Genesis, but Enoch's touched on him heavily. And he too held the two offices, which was king and priesthood. So that is the order that the Messiah came after, and also that is the order that also ordained the Levites too. You got to go back to the beginning to understand what took place when Abraham, our father, met with Melchizedek. Okay, so we already know that Aaron, his son, represent the Messiah and what he shall do. Okay, verse 2. And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron, thy brother, for glory and for beauty. Okay, so again, you know, the Most High is very peculiar. He's very particular. So when Aaron or his lineage comes before him in the Holy of Holies, they cannot look any kind of way. They have to be what? Clean, which should put you in remembrance of what it's saying with the Messiah. He had to be what? Holy. He had to be clean before he can go before what? His Father in heaven when he resurrects from the grave. Verse 3. Now, this is a verse you want to highlight because for those who have been following along with the different parts, you're going to smile when you read this. And this is for the naysayers who do not understand the glory of Yah, nor the beauty of holiness. Okay? All right. Verse 3. And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. You want to underline, filled with the spirit of wisdom. Filled with the spirit of wisdom. For those who've been following along, you understand why I'm bringing this out. But as it's a little nugget I want to give to you, you can do a Bible search to understand about the spirit of wisdom. And the Messiah touched on wisdom too. Touch on the same spirit. It's in the gospel. It's there. Okay. But this underline in verse 3, filled with the spirit of wisdom. So again, all wisdom and knowledge and understanding come by the spirit of wisdom, because through wisdom can teach you all things. And seeing here, they are showing how to make these garments according to the most high taste, according to the most high standards. Okay. All right. And then in another video, if it's my follow will, we're going to go back and look at John 17. I was not able to give it in this fullness, but we'll go back because there's some deep things the Messiah said there too. So that also will relate to part 7. Part 7. Okay, now back to the wilderness. Okay, the question you need to ask yourself, what does this wilderness represent? What does it mean for the bride, for the 144, and for the nation of Israel? What does it mean, y'all? Okay, let me show you that picture again if you don't mind. Okay, I'm going to show you that picture. What does it mean? Now, these are 3 groups. And the reason why I say these are 3 groups, is very important that you understand the difference between these 3 groups. Each group inheritance are slightly different. 2 are about really the same but slightly different because of the office they bear in the new kingdom to come, or because of their assignment they have to perform in the new kingdom to come. Okay, right? And you have to come in the whole writing books, and you're gonna have to definitely look at the prophets' writings. You're going to have to look at what the Messiah says, and then you definitely going to have to look at the other writings that's written by his apostles, such as by Paul, by Peter, by also by John, and many others. Because if you don't come into wholeness, you're going to miss the mark in this one. This mystery is only revealed by the Spirit, because when the Father gave it to me, I said, now I understand. So before those who decide they don't want to hear this and they don't want to receive it, let me give this unto you now. In the new kingdom to come, the nation of Israel will bear children. They will take wives. The prophet Ezekiel confirmed it. The prophet Jeremiah confirmed it. Okay, as well as the others. But you would see it written directly out. Okay, this is why I emphasize unto you to make sure you read those chapters that I give. Also in the playlist or in the video description box, dealing with the eagle wings, the rapture doctrine, all that other stuff. I highly recommend that you watch that too, so you can get more insight, because I'm going to give a highlights tonight. But in the kingdom to come, the nation of Israel will bear children. They will take wives. It's there. Okay. Very important to know. All right. Now, the bride in the 144 will not bear children, will not take wives, because the Messiah told us this. Remember what the Pharisees asked him. I can't remember which sect, but I know it was from Pharisees, when it was asking about the resurrection, or about the resurrection, and who wife would that woman be. When you look at what the Messiah says, notice this. Do he not say there is no marriage? Okay. For they will be like the angels in heaven. They will become eternal beings. Now I know what some Israelites may do. They might try to take this and twist and say, well, the nation of Israel going to receive that later after they bear their children. But again, you go back in those prophet writings who have the blueprint what would take place in the new earth, you will see that they would continue to bear children in the new eternal kingdom. They would continue to do so. Okay? It's in the writings. Even for those who restrict themselves to the 66 books, it's in there. But I do not recommend that you stay in that box, because the Apocrypha, as well as the other sacred books that the Jews of Ethiopia has proven unto us, they are ordained by the Most High for us to read. Only thing I'll say, Sister Hilda, after this video, you will see what I'm talking about. It's in there. For the Messiah says this: only the bride in the 144 will be like the angels. Again, when you watch some other parts and you see what Enoch said about the angels in heaven, what did he not say? They are eternal beings. Okay, and I'm going to show you some scriptures tonight. But to get a further in-depth study, you're going to have to go in those books, and you're going to have to do precept upon precept. Okay, so as y'all meditate on this picture, let us first go to Revelation 12, and that's one of the signs. Okay, that's one of the signs. So we're going to go to Revelation 12, because it's there, but many miss it because you read it like what's the word? When you go to Revelation 12 is a summary of a book, or it's a summary of a divine story. Okay, it don't give you all of the events. It only gives you what? The highlights. But one thing I noticed about Revelation 12, in this chapter summary, it defines what this verse means. And many missed it, because many like to stick to the other translations of the King James Bible. And because they like to stick with that and not have the Bible summary, they miss the mark. Okay? We're going to go there now. Okay, Revelation 12, chapter summary. A woman clothed with the sun travaileth. The great red dragon standeth before her, ready to devour her child. When she was delivered, she fleeth into the wilderness. You want to underline that verse because when we go to verse 6, you're going to see that we know that this woman is what? The nation of Israel, which is the congregation of Israel. Remember, what's done in the old is also done in the new. There is nothing new beneath the sun. Very important to know this. So the congregation of Israel, which is the bride, and the 144, very important to know this. Notice in verse 6, she will what? She will be delivered and she will flee into the wilderness. Okay? Verse 7. Michael and his angels fight with the dragon and prevail. The dragon being cast down into the earth persecuted the woman. I highly recommend that y'all read Revelation 12 in its fullness, for I'm not going to read this whole chapter tonight for the sake of time. But here, notice what happened in verse 6. This is the verse that many people miss the mark. And then following after this, we have a war to occur in heaven. And then Satan and his angels are cast out of heaven. And they're going to wreak havoc on earth. And they're going to pursue the children of Israel or the congregation of Israel. But mainly they're going to go after her seed, her lineage. Okay. And remember, the Father has a reason for why he's allowing this. Again, you need to go to the book of Baruch, his first book, his second book, and his third book to understand that mystery. And the channel has videos on that too, to understand why the Father will allow these angels to be cast out of heaven and to dwell on the earth, because they can't go back no more. Okay. In other words, Satan can no go back to him and report unto the Father about what man is doing, about what Adam is doing. He don't have that privilege anymore. So he is cut off from heaven completely. Go back to the books. The Father's telling me to tell you to read the book of Job, the book of Jude, and the book of Zechariah as an example to prove what I'm saying unto you, that Satan still had privileges to go into the heavens, for he is the prince of air, okay, and to report unto the Father about what Adams is doing. Because remember, he is the adversary. He accuses our brother. Oh, Indigenous America, I don't know what's up with your comment, but nobody's talking about Moors. Okay, the topic is the wilderness tonight. Okay, now let's get back on topic. Okay, so we're gonna look at what verse 6 say. All right, but we're gonna start up this a little bit higher. We're gonna start in verse 5. Okay, and she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up into unto YAHUAH and to his throne. So we ought to know that has already happened, right? The Messiah has resurrected from the grave. Oh, okay. Um, thank you. But let us stay on focus tonight. And if you have more questions, you can reach out to me. My contact information is listed in the video description box. Okay. So we see in verse 5 that the Messiah has fulfilled that part. He's sitting on the right hand of our Father, waiting for the day for him to come back with a rod of iron to rule all the nation. So that part has been fulfilled. The nation of Israel has what? Brought forth or birthed the Messiah. That is fulfilled. Okay. Then it goes on to say, after that, sometime after that, right? It said, and the woman fled into the wilderness where she have a place prepared of God. Now, this place is prepared by God, y'all, not by man's hand. This is a place prepared of God. To prove unto you what I'm saying, you got to read John chapter 14 as an example. Let me finish reading this part. It says that, and the woman fled into the wilderness where she have a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. Now we all, most people that preaches this, we all agree that is what the 3.5 years. That is the 3.5 years. To understand that timing, read Revelation 11, for you will learn that the two witnesses, which are Enoch and Elijah, shall prophesy against the beast for 3.5 years. They are the two that have not received an earthly death. They were kept and preserved for this day to come. Do you see how everything's lining up? Like I said, the Bible is like a conversation. You have a piece here and a piece there, and you have to put all the parts together to see the bigger picture. Okay? So as this verse revealed, this place is prepared by our Father. Now I'm going to show y'all proof in the Bible, in the Apocrypha, as well as other sacred books. It's going to define what this wilderness is, because the Messiah set the example. Okay? Before I touch on it, let me go down part, because it's another part I want you to pay attention, because this another thing happened, right? All right, so let us go down to read verse 6. Okay, now you get down to verse 14. Now Satan is on the earth. He's causing havoc, y'all. I'm serious. Not I'm serious. He's causing a lot of havoc on the earth. And look at what he does, because we know in his kingdom, he's going to what? Persecute Israel. And we see that forever ongoing, but it's going to get really intense for us. In the earth. Do y'all hear me? In the earth. Notice what happened in verse 14. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. You want to highlight that, because it's letting you know there are 2 gatherings mentioned here. There are 2 separate exodus here. There are 2 rams we are dealing with here. Okay? Do y'all see this now? You have a place that is prepared by our Father. This is a place that's not prepared by man's hand. And the Messiah told you this. He told you in so many words, because he set the example. Okay, I'm going to show you the verses. And then we have a place that the nation of Israel shall go. Okay, but it's her place, something that was originally established in the beginning. Notice here, and again, she gonna be in that place for what? 3.5 years. Do y'all see this now? And then we have the rest of the Israelites, okay? And this is in the congregation of Israel, okay? You got to understand who makes up that congregation of Israel too. But the rest of the Israelites have to face the beast, all right? So that's how we understand there would be another gathering that would take place. They have to face the beast. They have to go through what? The hardships. The Father's telling me to remind you, remember the story about the 10 virgins, about the parable of the 10 virgins that the Messiah gave unto us. Now you're beginning to connect the dots of his parables to understand revelations. Okay? To understand revelations. Right? I'm going to put it here in the description box. Very important, because one had oil and one did not have oil. And when you do a study of the olive oil, remember the physical going hand with the spiritual, you will learn that the olive oil represent what? The Holy Spirit. And I just show you in Exodus chapter 28 that that spirit will give you what? All wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Because we learned that the Messiah in prior videos, when you break down the letters in his name, one of the letters mean what? Fountains. And we already read in other verses that we learned, I think John chapter 10, that he is what? The fountains of, he is the fountain of living waters. And we know the living waters represent what? The ruach, the breath, the wind. Okay, can't see it, but you know it's there. All right. And through that spirit, this is how you get all wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Most High Yah. Okay. So very important. Again, this what comes by what? Faith. Faith. What I'm saying to you tonight comes by faith. So this is why I'm telling you, you have to come in the whole Bible book to receive what I'm saying unto you tonight, because some of these camps and churches and organizations and whatever clique that is going on are not going to give it to you. Okay? And another proof. Revelation 7. The Father is telling me to remind you about Revelation 7. What tribe is missing in Revelation 7? In the 144,000. What tribe is missing? And remember what our Father said unto our forefathers. He made it clear he would not destroy not one seed or not one tribe of the nation of Israel. In other words, there would be a representation of all 12 tribes plus the Levites in his kingdom to come. So, what is the tribe that is missing in Revelation 7? That's another sign unto you so you can understand why we will have the nation of Israel to bear children and why the bride and the 144 will not bear children. That's right, Sister Evelyn. I got to show them your answer. Dan. Now, to understand Dan inheritance, you have to read Ezekiel chapter 40 to 48. I think it falls really in chapter 47 to 48, but you got to go back to the beginning. Remember what Jacob said unto Dan. Oh, I see thy salvation. When you read the other books, you will learn that Dan wrote a book unto his children. And it's on the channel. Everything I'm telling y'all is on the channel, but it's more in depth. But I'm giving y'all highlights. And Dan wrote up to his children and told them of their downfall and how they would be what? Cut off from the Father, right? Well, when the Messiah come back, he's going to bring them back in. That's what he means when he said to Dan, Jacob, who is named Israel, oh, I see thy salvation. So when the Messiah returned back with that rod of iron, that's when the nation of Dan, or that's when the tribe of Dan shall come in. But notice this, they would not have any partake in the 144,000. You have to read Dan's book to find out why. Okay, there's little hints in the maybe in the Torah, but I know it's definitely in the Tanakh to give you an idea why. But when you read the book of Dan of the 12 patriarchs, you'll find out why they are cut off from that blessing. Now y'all see our Father's the same. He don't play. He didn't play with the Levites. They got a judgment they got to face in the new eternal kingdom to come. So do the tribe of Dan. So Dan has no part in the 144,000. Okay. All right. Thank you, sis. Oh, and then also this sister had an answer too. Thank you, sis. Now, are you beginning to connect the dots? Now let's get an understanding. What are these two wilderness? Okay. Now, pretty much everybody understand what the wilderness is for the nation of Israel. So I'm going to take you to the mystery of what the Messiah said. I'm going to show you some verses here. All right, let's roll. Cause this getting good. Okay, let me see where I want to go. I go there first, and then we're gonna set the appetizer because again, there's nothing new beneath the sun. You got to go back to Exodus. You got to go back to the ancient Exodus to understand the present Exodus. Okay, very important. Let me type that in the comment section. You got to go back to the ancient Exodus to understand the present or the upcoming on Exodus. Okay. All right. So we got to what? Understand the what was first in order to understand the what yet to come. Because remember, our Father's the same. He don't change. Okay. But now he's operate on a worldwide level because the Israelites are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. They're not in a local area anymore. They're not in the local Egypt area anymore, ancient Egypt. They are now spread out through the four corners of the earth. Okay. So let us first go here. I want to show you this word here because we talked about it in the book of Nicodemus. Yes, in the last video, not yesterday, but in the last video. And I'm thinking, see here. Okay. We're going to read some verses here. And then we're going to come back. Oh, I don't went to the wrong area, y'all. And touch a little bit more on these verses. First, we'll go to, this is done with New Covenant, but we also go to the Apocrypha. These are the verses you want to write down. Okay? You ready? Let's go. Luke chapter 23, verse 43. And Yahushua said unto him, now he's speaking to the thief on the cross. Okay? And I believe that thief on the cross was the one that was to his left. I think I had to go back and see. So he's speaking unto him, right? Yahushua said unto him, verily I say unto thee, today shall thou be with me in paradise. Paradise. You want to underline that word because you got to go back to Genesis to understand what paradise is. Remember I tell y'all, remember when I was sharing with y'all, you got to go back to the beginning to understand the present and what's yet to come. Because the Father be speaking us into what? Codes, into mysteries, giving us hints. Okay? All right, let's go to the next one. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 4. How that he was caught up into into paradise, and heard unspeakable words, which is not lawful for a man to utter. Notice here, this is Paul writings. He witnessed this happen to a man. He was caught up into paradise. Now we already got to understand that the Messiah is going to where? Paradise. Now, as we read further, we're going to understand what paradise is. Because it goes back to Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2. Okay, Revelation chapter 2, verse 7. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit say unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. Underline that, y'all. Tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. It's telling us where the tree of life is, right? So the tree of life is in the midst of the paradise of God. So this paradise is of God. That means God created it. God made it. Man did not make it. So the next question you're going to ask, where is this paradise? Some of y'all already know the answer. Okay? For those who've been reading them sacred books. Because it's also in the Apocrypha. Let me see. I think I want to type in tree of life for Apocrypha, but we're going to see what we get in the Apocrypha. Oh, it's a lot of good verses. In the Apocrypha. Take this time now to pause your screen and get those verses. Okay? You see 2nd Ezra, which is the high priest Ezra of the Old Testament, and he's telling us all the time about paradise. Okay? But let me type in tree of life, and we're going to see, well, you may have an idea where this paradise is. Let's first start with New Testament only. You can find it's discussed in Revelations chapter 22. That's something you want to check out in your spare time. Okay? Revelation chapter 22. We already read Revelation chapter 2, verse 7, but let us go to the Apocrypha because this is what I want to show y'all tonight. Okay? Here we go. We want to look at 2nd Ezra chapter 2, verse 12. Now, for those who read a lot like I do, 2nd Ezra chapter 2 deals with Revelation chapter 7. It is the precept to give you understand what is that great multitude that John saw. Okay. You want to go back and read 2nd Ezra chapter 2, right? This has been Sarah, known as Ecclesiasticus chapter 19, verse 19. We're going to read that verse. And then we'll go to 2nd Ezra chapter 8, verse 52. Again, you want to go back and read these chapters because I'm only giving highlights tonight so y'all can connect the dots. Okay? All right. 2nd Ezra chapter 2, verse 12. They shall have the tree of life for an ointment of sweet savor. They shall neither labor nor be weary. You want to go back and see who the day is? I know it's definitely there with the bride of the Messiah in the 144. Okay. Now we're going to read Ecclesiasticus 19, verse 19. The knowledge of the commandments of Yahuwah is the doctrine of life. Again, his laws, the Torah, all of that is what? The doctrines of life. It shall what? Lead you to life. It shall give you life when you what? Follow those instructions. And they that do things that please him, how do you please him? Again, you have to go back to Torah, to the prophets, and to the new covenant to learn how to please him, because you cannot be of the world even though you're in it. Remember, the world has a different definition. They do the opposite of the children of the light. Okay. And they that do things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. Now we know that tree of immortality is dealing with what? The tree of life. Okay. Oh, thank you, sis. Thank you, Sister Huda. Okay. Now we go to 2nd Ezra chapter 8, verse 52. For it says unto us this, for unto you is paradise open, the tree of life is planted. What? Okay. Now you have to read the whole chapter, but we're just going to read this verse. For unto you is paradise open, the tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared, plentiness is made ready, a city is built, and rest is allowed. Y'all, it's touching some strong things of what we talk about, the mystery of the Feast of Tabernacles and atonement. Okay? Let me read this again. Plentiness is made ready, a city is built, and rest is allowed. Yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. I need to click on that whole chapter because now we're tapping into what is paradise for the bride of the Messiah and for the 144,000. What is it? We're tapping into it now. And what we get understanding now is that wherever this paradise is, this is where the tree of life is. Okay? And we know the tree of life is not in the earth. We ought to know that. I'm gonna take you somewhere to show it to you. But I got to build the foundation up so y'all can see. I'm just gonna pause this screen right here, and we're gonna not read it, but I want to pause it for y'all's sake because I want to move into. Let me see where we're gonna go next. We need to go to the book of Nicodemus right quick. That's where we need to go next. Book of Nicodemus, we're going to chapter 18 first. Then we're going to hit chapter 19. But we're not going to read all them chapters like we did before. Bear with me. So first, let us go to 18 because in 18, it revealed unto us what was lost. Like I said, you got to go back to the beginning. You got to look at your foreparents, Adam and Eve. Okay. I'm just getting my book so I can get to that note quicker so I can see where it's at. Okay, we got to go to 18 verse 9. 18 verse 9. Here we go. This is the verse you want to highlight for those who have a copy or also who are able to print out this book. Okay? Because it reveals something unto us what was lost. What else was lost? That's right, sis. Glory. Hallelujah. Praise be to Yah because he's the only one that's revealing this mystery tonight. So we can understand the mystery of the wilderness, which is paradise. Okay? For the bride and for the 144. Now we're going to tap into the mystery of what the wilderness is for the nation of Israel. But everybody pretty much know that. But they don't know about this mystery here. Again, this come by faith. You will receive it according to your faith, your heart and your works. All right. Nicodemus chapter 18, verse 9. O Prince Satan, thou great keeper of the infernal regions, all thy advantages which thou didst acquire by the forbidden tree. What is that forbidden tree? The tree of knowledge of good and evil. So he was able to gain or to trample upon Adam. This is how he was able to get Adam inheritance to rule over the whole earth and to keep the whole earth in darkness. Okay? He did it by what? A tree known as the tree of knowledge and good and evil. Like I said, go back to the beginning. Also, he acquired this. Okay. And also this verse is telling us and the loss of paradise. So once Satan acquired this, Adam lost paradise. Underline that because you need to know what paradise is. And I'm just going to tell you. But for homework, I want you to read Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2. Because the Father want me to remind you about the boundaries of paradise or where it's located. Because there's a lot of doctrines going on about where is Jerusalem, where is Israel. Well, this is how you're going to know where it is. Like I said, always go back to the beginning when there's confusion. Okay? In Genesis 2, paradise is located in Eden, right? And Eden had a garden known as the Garden of Eden, which is paradise. This is where the Father placed Adam and Eve to live in. And the borders of this holy divine place, of this sacred area, or where paradise is, it fell in between these borders, y'all. And the borders was dealing with a river that came out of Eden. And those four rivers named are Pison, Gihon, Euphrates, and Tigris. Now we know today we can easily find Euphrates and Tigris, but with further research, you will learn that the Nile River consists of Pison and Gihon. This is how you can find where paradise fell. This is how you can find where Eden fell into, or where paradise fell into, or where the land of Israel fell into. It has to fall within those borders. Okay, so to understand why you might see some of the same names in the continent of Africa as well as America, you would, I'm sorry, to understand why that's so, y'all, you got to understand the nature of Israelites. Just as the same way they renamed their children after their ancestors, they do the same thing with the lands. An example of this can be found in Luke chapter 1 with John. Shalom. Luke chapter 1 with John name. Because the high priest questioned his father and said, "You're not going to name him after one of your ancestors?" And he said, "No," because the Spirit told him to name him John, which is YAHUAH in the Hebrew tongue. Okay. Well, that's the same thing with the lands. Even in the Bible, you will see there are some lands named the same thing. So this is why today in those ancient maps you will see the same names of Jerusalem. When you read the Book of the Mormons as well as the Seal Book, you will learn that there was another Jerusalem established unto the northern kingdom, known as Osiris. Okay, but the books clearly identified that is not the ancient Jerusalem, or that is not the original Jerusalem, or that is not the place where both kingdoms dwelt. In other words, the ancient Jerusalem has to be in a place where you have both of the kingdoms to either be near to one another or reside in. In other words, what I'm saying, when King David ruled, we know he ruled in Jerusalem. But with the northern kingdom, when they ruled from what? Samaria. So those two areas have to be near one another. Again, this when you come in the whole volume of the book. Even Josephus give you clues of where it's at. Even the Messiah prophesies unto us and told us it is a place that's not inhabited. There we go, y'all. It's a place where mankind is not dwelling in. Do you hear me, O nation of Israel? Because I'm touching on your wilderness right now. Okay? So even today, it is abandoned. It is desolate. It is barren like a wilderness. And the prophet Joel, the prophet Isaiah, and the prophet Ezekiel touch on this. Are y'all seeing how all the dots are connecting together? Well, anyway, so going back to the book of Nicodemus. Let me get back to where I was. Okay. We have learned now that not only Adam lost his place, okay, or lost his inheritance, he also lost paradise. And we also know paradise is the Garden of Eden that was located in Eden. Okay, let us go on to read. And thou hast now lost by the wood of the cross, and thou happiness all then expire. And when thou didst crucify Yahushua the Messiah, the King of glory. All right. Now let us skip down to chapter 19, and we're going to go to starting at verse 9. Thou hast redeemed the living by the cross. You want to align that. He redeemed the living by the cross. You got to understand what the cross represent. Go back to the Paleo Hebrew and look up the Hebrew letter Tav. The Hebrew letter Tav. I'm going to type that in the box. We talked about that in part 7, but that for those who are new to the channel, you want to look that one up. Okay. So he redeemed the living by the cross, and I'll come down to us. See, he went down to what? Sheol. It is under the earth. It is where hell is. It is also the place where Abraham's bosom is. Okay. That by the death of the cross, thou mightest deliver us from hell and by the power of death. See, the first Adam died. In other words, when you understand the spiritual death that took place in him, that caused him to become flesh and blood, that caused him to lose the glory of Yah. Okay. Then you understand that the second Adam came by death, but he brought life. He did the impossible because this Adam, the second Adam, committed no sin. He was innocent. See, the first Adam fell by sin, but the second Adam committed no sin, and he what? Ascended. He brought us back up. He restored us to our proper place, and that is to what? To be Adam. Who is Adam, y'all? Luke chapter 3. Adam is the Son of God. And when you understand who you are, do you understand all of this and what's going on and why the Father is doing what he's doing? Okay. Verse 10. O Lord, as thou hast put the insides of thy glory in heaven and hast set up the sign of thy redemption, even thou cross on the earth. Do y'all hear that? The Father put up signs letting us know about certain things to give us understanding of what these things mean. Because we know the word Tav means what? The end. It represents the number 400. It often represent what? The mark to go in covenant with, to join to. That's how he set you free. He put you back to your place, Adam. So, Lord, set the sign of thy victory of thy cross in hell, that death may have dominion no longer. So he left the sign of the cross in hell too to let them know y'all didn't do nothing. Because I nailed your shenanigans to the cross. I gave you back for what you brought to Adam. So take back your mess. Because it's in there at the cross. Hallelujah. Praise be to Yah. Then Yahuwah, stretching forth his hand, made the sign of the cross upon Adam and upon all his saints. Again, when you look at the word tall, you understand why he did that. But notice what takes place here. Only the Holy One, the Anointed One, can make this mark upon you. Because whoever make this mark upon you, that's who you're going in covenant with, y'all. We got to go deeper here. We got to get beyond the Pharisees' teaching because they don't understand these things. Now, as an Israelite, no, we don't wear the cross because we know the Holy One makes that sign upon us. We also know that our power do not come by the cross. Our power comes by the Spirit that dwells in us. Another mystery that many do not understand. Okay? So, let us go on to read. And taking hold of Adam by his right hand, he ascended from hell. He ascended from Sheol, and all the saints of God follow him. Then the royal prophet David boldly cried and said, "Oh, sing unto the Lord a new song, for he have done marvelous things. His right hand," who is his right hand, y'all? His right hand and his holy arm. And who is his holy arm? Oh, Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay, his right hand and his holy arm have got him the victory. The Lord had made known his salvation. Who is his salvation, y'all? That he had made known to all the world. Even he sent his salvation down to Sheol, that man today called hell. In the Greek tongue, they say Hades. Who is that Holy One? His righteousness hath he openly showed in the sight of the heathen. Do y'all hear this? He showed him before the heathen. And soon he shall come back to show the heathen he ain't playing. Okay? He gonna put the heathen in their proper place. Verse 15. And the whole multitude of saints answer, saying, "This honor have all his saints. Amen. Praise ye the Lord." Afterwards, the prophet Habakkuk, I think it's Habakkuk, if I said it correctly, but forgive me, cried out and said, "Thou winnest forth for the salvation of thy people, even for the salvation of thy people." And all the saints said, "Blessed is he." Now I want to back that up. Remember, he delivered all them souls going down to Adam. So that don't mean all of them are Israelites. Do you hear me, Hebrew Israelites? Because the only way to be an Israelite, you have to be what? A descendant of Jacob. For he was renamed Israel. So notice here that the Messiah go down to Sheol and save all the souls who receive him. How we know? Look at Revelation 2. Look at the one who rejected him. Did not Jezebel reject him? She stayed down there. But unto those lost souls that he preached unto, they came with him also. They had a chance to repent. Because when you read further in the book of Nicodemus, you will learn they partake too in the water baptism. Notice what take place in the earth when they resurrect from the grave. You got to read the whole book, but we can't read it all tonight. But I want to give you that highlight. They go to the Jordan River and get baptized. These are souls that resurrect from the grave on his day of resurrection, known as the Aviv 16th. For that is the day when the manna cease. That is the day when we present the sheaf of the wave offering to represent what? The first fruits of the barley harvest. And we know harvest represent what? Resurrection. And we know the first one of this resurrection was Yahushua HaMashiach. Then followed after him the saints who came out of Sheol. Do y'all see this? Okay, let's see where we at. Verse 17. And all the saints said, "Blessed is he who cometh in the name of the Lord." See, today we're gonna say that too. Blessed is he that come in the name of Yahuwah, for he bare his father's name. For Yahuwah have enlightened us. This is our God forever and ever, and he shall reign over us to the everlasting ages. Amen. In like manner, all the prophets spake the sacred things of his praise and follow the Lord. Chapter 20. The Messiah delivers Adam to Michael, the archangel. They meet Enoch and Elijah in heaven, and also the blessed thief, who relates how he cares to paradise. Okay? We only read verse 1. And then the Lord holding Adam by the hand. Do y'all see this? The Messiah holding Adam. We have here the second Adam holding the first Adam by hand, ushering him into what? We're going to see. Deliver him to Michael, the archangel, and he led them into paradise, filled with mercy and glory. Do y'all see this? The Messiah took them into paradise, where the tree of life is. This is their wilderness. Then we're gonna see where this paradise is. We got to go to Enoch. Enoch's gonna give us the answer. Now notice here, flesh and blood can't go there. You got to what? Be marked, be joined to the Messiah. Okay. All right. We're gonna rock this thing tonight. So I got to change screens, y'all. Hold on. We're gonna get to it because now we're getting to the meat. I'm going to take you to the book of Enoch. This is written by, well, not written by, but this is translated by Joseph Lincoln or Lumpkin, if I said that correctly. And tonight we're going to go to, I think we have to look at chapter 8 and 9 in Second Enoch. Second Enoch. Now this book has all 3 copies. You click the video description box for the PDF link, and those who have a printer, you can print this book out. This is a great book to have. And here's a picture of Enoch. And I love what Joseph B. Lumpkin did. Because we see what? A Hebrew. A Hebrew. And if I remember reading correctly, I believe he also took a trip to Ethiopia, and he spent some time with the Ethiopian Jews and looked at their sacred books. Okay. All right. We're going to scroll down. I'm going to take that comment off so that way we can focus on the wording. Okay. All right. We're going to go to Second Enoch, chapter 11. So I got to find the page first so I can get that faster. Okay, Second Enoch start on page 219. So we're on page 6. So let's go to 219. I'm already above. Okay. Let me see what chapter we are on. Let's see. Now we're in the second book. Okay. And we're going to look for chapter 8. Okay, that's chapter 1, 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, here we go. Y'all probably want to print that one out and get your highlighters and your pencil. That's right. You own something, Brother J. I want to say Brother J. Okay. And those men took me from there and led me up on the third heaven. Do y'all hear this? This is Enoch giving us a report about the third heaven. Did we not read something about the third? No, we read something about paradise. But anyway, we'll get to it. And placed me there. I looked down and saw what this place produces. and it was so good that such has never been known. And I saw all the sweet flowering trees. Y'all hear this? He saw all the sweet flowering trees and saw their fruits, which were sweet smelling. And I saw all the foods that came from them, and that the food was bubbling with fragrant vapors. And in the middle of the trees was the tree of life. Underline that, y'all. In that place where the Lord rests when he goes up into paradise. Do y'all hear this? This is where our Lord go and rest. So he already set the example. The second Adam set the example for the bride and for the 144. So we know that this is what in the third heaven. You want to underline that too. In the third heaven, this is where paradise is. And this is where the tree of life is. Remember, this is what Adam lost. It was taken out of the earth and was placed in the third heaven. And it would not come until our Father in heaven comes with what? The new Jerusalem that is not built by man's hand, that has been established in the heavens, but will come down. Okay? This is why it's so important. We got to put all the parts together to understand why there's a difference in the inheritance for the three groups. Okay? So this is where the Messiah goes to and rest. This is where he entered into his Shabbat. Remember Hebrews chapter 3 and 4. Did he not say, if you want to enter into my rest? This is the purpose of keeping Shabbat. This is the purpose of remember the holy days and holy feast days. For they are what? They are symbolizing unto us or what we shall partake in. They are symbolizing unto us or what is coming. Okay? The Father always give a carnal or a physical representation. So, excuse me, y'all. So what we can remember. Very important that we remember these things. So when the power of darkness come to shift us, we cannot be shaken because we know what the words say and we believe in these promises. This is why it's so important to keep the Father holy days and not keep the Roman Catholic Church pagan, heathen, holy days, or not holy days, holidays, or what some people say holidays. We cannot be like the world. Okay? So in the middle of the trees was the tree of life, in that place where the Lord rests when he goes up into paradise. And this tree is indescribable goodness and fragrance. So there's no word to describe how good and how sweet smelling this tree is, y'all. And it goes on to say, and adore more than anything existing. So it's above all the trees in that garden. Okay? In paradise. And all sides of it form were golden and brilliant red and firelight. And it was completely covered, y'all. And it produced all fruits. Do y'all hear this? Wow. This is amazing. Okay, let's keep reading. Verse 4. Its root is in the garden, in the earth's end. Do y'all hear this? This is why it's so important that that east point, when we look at the east point, where within the land of Israel, where the garden of Eden is, where it was, is letting us know that is the end point. So its root, so this garden root is at the earth end. Okay, its root is in the garden at the earth's end. And paradise resides between spiritual and physical. That is the level of heaven between the other realms below it, because you got the earth, the first and second level of heaven, and then you have the other levels of heaven that goes to the 10th level where the Father resides. Okay, but that is the one that divide, and the reason why it say it is the and paradise resides between spiritual and physical, because when you understand what's below that, then you will see how distinctive, how is a distinctive bear between the two areas that's below it and that's above it. Okay, and paradise resides between spiritual and physical, and two springs come out which sent forth honey and milk. Wow. And their springs sent forth oil and wine, and they separate into four parts and flow quietly around and go down into the paradise of Eden between the mutable and the eternal. And it says, see Genesis chapter 2, verse 11 through 14. Okay? You want to highlight that because we know the Father had removed it from the earth. And now we learn it's in the third heaven. Okay? And paradise, which is called paradise, this is a wilderness for the bride and for the 144,000. Shalom. Oh, and welcome, sis. Okay, verse 7. And there they go forth along the earth and have a circular and have a circular flow, even as other elements. And there is no unfruitful tree here. Do y'all hear this? All these trees produce good fruits, y'all. And it's for Adam and all the righteous to enter into and to partake in those fruits. That means to eat them, y'all, to rest there and to enjoy these delights. And it goes on to say, and every place is blessed. 300 angels, which are very bright, are there to keep the garden, with incessant sweet singing, with voices which are never silent. Serve the Lord throughout all the hours of days. And I said, how very sweet is this place. And those men said to me, this place, O Enoch, is prepared for the righteous, who endure all manner of offense, from those that exasperate their souls, who avent their eyes from iniquity, and make righteous judgment, and give bread to the hungry. Do y'all hear this? Isaiah 58. And give bread to the hungry. Even the gospel talks about this. And cover the naked with clothing, and raise up the fallen, and help injured orphans, and who walk without fault before the face of YAHUAH, and serve him alone. For them is prepared this place for eternal inheritance. Y'all want to highlight that. I'm giving y'all proof that the inheritance of the bride and the 144 is different from the nation of Israel. And we're going to touch on the nation of Israel because we're going to go to Romans 11. Romans 11 is the foundation that's going to tie into Ezekiel chapter 20. I'm trying to think of another one. It's going to tie into Ezekiel chapter 40 to 48. Okay, it's going to tie into that parable of the 10 virgins. They are the virgins that had no oil, and you understand why when you look at Ezekiel writings, what he prophesies about the nation of Israel. Even Isaiah touched on this as well, because remember he said what? The Messiah shall be a stumbling block unto them. So you have those who do not receive the Messiah, and you have those who claim they do but do not follow his instructions. Okay. Then you begin to see about Revelation 12 of those who has to face the beast. Remember, those who go into the wilderness of the nation of Israel, they are handpicked and chosen by Yah. Go back to the prophet's writings, you will see that. So that's why I say I pray and hope that you're chosen by the Father. So when you meet him in the wilderness, you are given a chance. But remember, many is going to be cut off from him because of their what? Their heart. Again, that's one of the characteristics I just gave unto you that is different from the bride of the Messiah and from the 144. Let us continue to read. Oh no, this stops here. Chapter 9. Okay. So now you get understanding where all those who died now and before, after the Messiah had resurrected from the grave, this is where the righteous go now. So now we're waiting on what? Regeneration. The second Adam set the example. Did he not resurrect in body, soul, and spirit? This is why the heathens cannot refine his body. It has been taken to the heavens. Okay? This is why the Messiah instructed his apostles to give him something to eat and drink and to touch him, to let them know he was not a ghost. He was resurrected in body, soul, and spirit. But the body he resurrected in was not of corruption anymore, was not of immortal, not of mortal anymore, for he could not die. He was eternal. Okay. All right, let's see where we go next. So now, this to sum up that part, done with the bride and the 144, before we proceed to the nation of Israel. You will also learn there is a wilderness for the wicked. And I'm going to see who's been paying attention dealing with the wilderness of the wicked. Where you think their wilderness is? Where you think the wicked go? Because we already got the answer where the righteous go now, because they're waiting on what? Regeneration. They wait on to partake in the first resurrection, right? That's written in Romans chapter 20. I think regeneration is written in Matthew chapter 19, I believe. Okay. And it's many other scriptures on that. I'm just giving you highlights tonight. So do I have anyone that can give me the answer? Where is the wilderness for the wicked? Think about think about where the Messiah went to first. Hmm? I want y'all to think on that. Okay. The wilderness of the wicked is Sheol, hell, right? This is where they go until the great judgment day. That's what the 8th day represent of the Feast of Tabernacles. It's the great judgment day that's done by our Father in heaven. That's right, Sister Huda. And forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Okay? And that's right, Sister Evelyn. Y'all was typing the same time I was. Y'all got it in. Okay. So now on the spiritual aspect, or in other words, on the heavenly aspect, we begin to understand what is the wilderness. Because when we go back to this picture, let me show you this picture of the goat. Because the Messiah set the example. Where's my picture? Here we go. Okay, I want you to see this. The Messiah set the example that if you're not right, you will stay in Sheol and wait to the day of judgment. So you are tormented day and night by angels. You have no rest. And then you will be resurrected in the second resurrection that's mentioned in Revelation 20. And you will have to face YAHUAH and receive your final judgment, which shall be cast into the eternal lake of fire. So not only you can receive a twofold death, it's an earthly death you receive, then you receive a spiritual death, and then you receive your eternal death. So that's 3/4 deaths right there. Do y'all see this? This is why I warn those, do not take for granted that you will be able to partake in the Exodus. I'm sorry, excuse me, y'all. Do not take for granted that you'll be able to partake in the Exodus, because we're still dealing with death right now. Death can come unto us at any time. Okay? So the Messiah set the first example for the wicked. And the only way you can escape out of there, you have to be a man or Adam to have committed no sin, in order for them angels not to bound you or to imprison you there. Now you get understanding of Revelation 13. He that let's see, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Now you get a deeper mystery on that too. Okay? I think that's Revelation 13. Right? Then the Messiah, after he leaves that realm, because what he set the captives free, he gave them his mark, right? And then they was able to enter into paradise. Adam all the way down to the Messiah, all them souls. Okay. And they're now waiting on the day. Okay, I'm sorry. And we also know on the day of the Messiah resurrected, they also too resurrect in what? Body, soul, and spirit. Body, soul, and spirit. You got to read the book of Nicodemus to get the rest of the story on that. And we also know that they was baptized in the Jordan River. So they did partake in the water baptism. To the Pharisees who speaks against it, y'all talking lies. And you need to be careful what you're doing because the Father see everything you're doing. And you're going to have to face him on the day of judgment because you have blood on your hands for keeping many souls from him. Okay? So after that take place, after he get them out of Sheol, then they can enter into paradise. And we know, and we now know that paradise is their wilderness. Because when you study about the nation of Israel wilderness, what it shall become, remember, it is a desert now, it's a desolated place, it's not inhabitable. It's not inhabitable. That means no man is dwelling there. So soon the Father will make it what? Like the Garden of Eden. And we'll get to those verses as well. Okay. Now that you've seen this part, now we go to the nation of Israel. And I know the biggest question is, you right, why is their inheritance different from the bride and from the 144? Okay. So we got to go back to the Bible. We got to look at Romans 11. But I'm going ahead and give you the highlight. And it's in Torah and it's throughout the whole book to understand why the nation of Israel inheritance is different. When you go back and study the first wilderness they were in, they lacked faith, number one, and they still lacking it. The foundation of that, we don't touch it tonight. I want you to read Acts chapter 7. Acts chapter 7. And what took place in that first wilderness or the ancient wilderness has been spread down on to these children today, to the children of Israel today. Okay? It has been going on since. Okay? Another thing that the Father heavily speaks on is their heart. Deuteronomy 5. He said, oh, if you would have a heart in you. So even the new covenant says this. Those who enter into the new covenant and receive his salvation and righteousness, which we know is Yahushua HaMashiach, shall receive the circumcision of the heart that is not made by man's hands. And it's in the book of Colossians, it's in the book of Corinthians. I can't remember if it's first or second. It is displayed throughout their whole book. Okay. The bride and the 144 received the circumcision of the heart that is not made by man's hands. They also receive the birth of being born of the spirit. Y'all hear that? Being born of the spirit and being born of the water. That is the difference between them and the nation of Israel. Because the prophet Ezekiel is going to testify on this. Because he says what? When he bring them together in the wilderness, he said, I will what? After he removed the rebels first, he going to cut the rebels off. I mean, he's going to put an end to them. Okay? He removes the rebels. Then he's going to what? Give them a new heart. He's going to take out the stony heart and he's going to give them a new spirit. Now we're getting into Romans 11. Then you begin to understand why I call them the mercy group. Because I said, our Father made a promise and he loved them so much. He is what? Their husband. He was married unto them. Remember, he put Israel away for a while. He divorced her for a while, but he wants her back. Hosea chapter 2. So now, I'm sorry, y'all. So now we're going to go to Romans 11 and see why they are the mercy group. They are known as the mercy group. Okay? Now you're going to see Revelation 12 of that second wilderness. Again, the eagle wings. The playlist in the video description box, that title with the eagle wings, I think that's a part 1, part 2, and part 3, is going to give you the mystery of the eagle wings, what that is. Okay? Again, these camps, some of these camps, and these churches or organizations or whatever cliques that's going on, they're not going to give it to you. They're not. Okay, so now let us go there quickly because we got a few more minutes. All right. Romans chapter 11. So when will paradise come down to the earth? When the Father himself come down. So it's going to stay in the heaven. Even when the Messiah reigned for 1,000 years, it is not going to come down when you read those ancient books. Okay. Now we're going to Romans 11. I am going to read a chapter summary because I know I'm not going to read all the verses, but I want you to know what the chapter is about. It says, Yahuwah have not cast off all Israel. Some was elected, through the rest were hardened. Do y'all hear this? I'm sorry, not through, but though the rest were hardened. What made them harden, y'all? Their hearts. I got to read this again. Yahuwah have not cast off all Israel. Some was elected, though the rest were hardened. There is hope of their conversion. Do y'all hear that? The Father still have hope in you, O nation of Israel. This is why he got to deal with you one to one, because he know of the stumbling blocks. He know what the angels have done. Okay? So this is why he's going to give you another chance. All right? Remember, he made a promise. He said he would not destroy the nation. He will what? Keep it. But he got to do what? A purging within you. He got to refine you so what? You can become what? Right. Right before his eyes. Okay? The Gentiles may not insult upon them. Do you hear me, O Gentiles? Y'all see him marking the Israelites. Some may call themselves Hebrew Israelites. Others may say Jews or Yahudim, etc. Gentiles, be careful what you say, because the Father hear all and sees all, and he has a book of remembrance. So y'all sitting here laughing at the true Hebrews, who you think they are not the Hebrews or not the Jews. And when that day come, you're going to be ashamed. Okay? So if you're not for sure, keep your mouth closed and wait till when the Father introduce his people to the whole world. Read Ezekiel chapter 38 and chapter 39. And the Father's reminded me to tell you to read the Song of Moses. I believe it's in chapter 31, 32, or chapter 30. Read the Song of Moses. And also read Yahuwah prophetic messages. Let us continue. The Gentiles may not insult upon them, for there is a promise of their salvation. Yahuwah's judgment are unsearchable. So no one can figure out his judgments. In other words, they don't know how he's going to bring everything. In other words, they don't know all his ways and his thoughts and how he's going to deal with everything. So they are unsearchable. It's endless. Okay? So notice here it's telling us what? They're going to be saved. He's going to what? Redeem his people, who is his wife. Okay? Like I said, you have to read a whole chapter when you get some time. But I do want to warn my brethren who are Hebrew Israelites. The reason why we see a lot of things going on in YouTube is because of this. And the Apostle Paul warned y'all. Let me see, can I find it? I have to go back up. He warned y'all about this. And even our father Judah warned us about this. And it's in verse 12. He said, our fall is because of what? The riches of the world. And the diminishing of them, the riches of the Gentiles. How much more their fullness? So let me read this again. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them, and the riches of the Gentile, how much more their fullness? Now, what he's saying here, what? The Israelites are falling because of what? They're seeking the riches of this world, the world of darkness. They want these platforms. They want to be in power. They want to be in charge. They want the riches of the Gentiles, such as the nice houses and nice cars and lands and gold and silver. They want all this stuff now. They don't want to wait on what the Father has for them. They want it now. Okay? Which is what the cause of them to diminish, because they want the riches of the Gentiles. So look at this way, what he's saying here too. Even though they fall greatly, how much more shall their fullness be to come? What they're going to step into. Okay? And this is where he going to warn the Gentiles, because the Father going to restore the Israelite back to their proper place after he do a little refining, purging, and cutting the rebels off. Okay? I'm going to start at verse 25. For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery. You are here, Paul giving us a mystery. Lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. So we in that time now where the fullness of Gentiles come in, and you have to read the sealed book of Mormon to understand what that means. It's not only dealing with that time of reign, but it's dealing with the time of grafting or being grafted into the olive tree. So we are at that point now. We are in part 2 now, and there's a part 3 to come, and that part 3 will not come until the Messiah comes with that. And that is when all the mysteries of Yah shall be revealed when he comes. Verse 26. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer. Who's that one that come out of Zion, the deliverer? Remember that it's a Zion of the heavens. Go back to the scriptures. That is Yahushua HaMashiach, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. Okay? But also let you know he will go to the physical Zion, where Zion is located, to build the tabernacle of David in the earth that would take place within his 1,000-year reign. But there is a Zion in the heavens. Okay? So when he come, he's going to turn away the ungodliness from Jacob. So he's going to get the children of Israel in order. Okay? He's going to carry out his father judgment in the earth, and he's going to get the children of Israel in order. For this is my covenant unto them, when I shall take away their sins. Do y'all hear this? So when their sins are removed, as concerning the gospel, they are enemies for your sake, but as touching the election, they are beloved for the Father's sake. So we know there are some Israelites that have not received the gospel. So they have made themselves an enemy to the gospel. They have made themselves an enemy to the Messiah. Even those who claim they are, even those who claim they believe in the Messiah, but they're not keeping his commandments. Again, to be a part of your family, you have to follow his covenant. You have to follow the Torah. You have to follow the commandments, the laws, the statutes, the judgments. Okay? But notice here it goes on to say the election. So they are the ones who have received the covenant. The Messiah is not a stumbling block unto them. For the gifts and calling of Yah are without repentance. For the gifts and calling of Yah are without repentance. For as ye in time past have not believed Yah, ye have now attained mercy through their unbelief. So this is where you're seeing why I'm calling them the mercy group. He's going to deal with them, the ones that's unbelieving. He's going to deal with them in the wilderness. Okay? Even so have these Also now not believe that through your mercy they also may attain mercy. Do y'all remember that mercy when my sister last night was coming to me when we deal with something with dealing with Esau and Jacob when he said, I will show mercy unto whom I will show mercy. So here we seen an example of how the Father is showing mercy unto a people that he favored because he was married unto them. He has a relationship with them. He knows them and they know him. He knows no other. Verse 32, for Yah have concluded them all in unbelief, that he might have mercy upon all. Oh, the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments, and his ways past finding out. For who have known the mind of Yahuwah, or who have been his counselor, or who have first given to him, and it shall be recompense unto him again. For of him and through him and to him are all things, to whom be glory forever. Amen. And I want to give you the precepts to those verses so you'll have it. So now you're seeing the difference between the nation of Israel and versus the bride in the 144. I'm just typing that in the video description box. Now when you see NOI, that's nation of Israel. Okay, so there's a difference between these groups, right? In other words, one group has graduated. They are born of the water, born of the spirit, and they receive the circumcision of the heart that's not done by man's hand. The other group is not born of the water, nor of the spirit. Remember, the spirit represent the oil, 10 virgins. They have hardened hearts, okay? And either they reject the Messiah or the gospel, the new covenant, or they don't follow what the new covenant says. Okay? Now let me see where I need to take you to. I want to, before we go to Acts 7, I want to show you about their wilderness, excuse me, y'all, my tongue. I want to show you about their wildernesses. I can't talk tonight. So you can see what the Father's going to do. It will be like a desert, like you saw with that goat. And the Father reminded me, just like when the Messiah returned to earth, he would go to their wildernesses. Wilderness. Thank you, Father. And the Father is reminding me, he said, remember what happened in Exodus. My son was there. He is the tabernacle of witness. You want to do a word search in tabernacle of witness. I do know it's in Exodus and it's in the book of Revelations, chapter 1. Tabernacle of witness, and it's also in the book of Acts, is the Messiah. Okay. Um, so he was there with them then, and he's gonna be there with them again. So now you're seeing how this is like a 2, 3, 4 fold thing showing that's taking place. So he's gonna meet them in the wilderness, okay, and he's gonna carry out his father judgment among them to get them right. Um, so we are going to touch on Acts chapter 7, but for silent reading, I want you to read First Corinthians chapter 10. That's then with the proof of the Messiah was there with them. And it's the precept to Exodus chapter 7. Okay. And then I want you to read Deuteronomy 5 to see about their heart. Because they have a heart condition. Okay. A heart condition. Also, for homework, I want you to read Acts chapter 3, verse 14 through 15, and you can see the titles of the Messiah. Okay? For he is known as the Holy One, the Just, and he's known as the Prince of Life. Besides our Father in heaven, he is the only one that's given the powers to bring the dead back to life, physically and spiritually. Okay? So let me show you a couple verses dealing with the nation of Israel wilderness, okay, or where their paradise would be. This is in the earth. So let's first go to Joel chapter 2, and we're going to look at the precepts. Okay, Joel chapter 2, and we're going to look at verse 3. It say, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the garden of Eden. Do y'all hear this? The land is as the garden of Eden before them. So he's comparing this holy land that they lived in, which is Jerusalem. This is the time when the Romans would come and destroy them according to Yah's judgment that was upon them. So this land, Jerusalem, is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. The next verse we want to go to is Isaiah chapter 62, verse 4. Isaiah 62, verse 4. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate. Do y'all hear this? But thou shalt be called, I cannot say that word, and thy land Beulah. For Yahuwah delighteth in thee, and thy land shall be Morid, if I say that correctly. Okay. Another one is Isaiah 64:10. Thy holy cities are a wilderness. Zion is a wilderness. Jerusalem a desolation. Do y'all see this? Okay, now we're seeing the wilderness in the earth for the nation of Israel. Now we go to, let me see. I got written down, but I haven't looked at it. Because in my Bible, I take a lot of notes. So I wrote this down just in case if it falls on this topic. So let me just go there. I'm going to Isaiah chapter 51. Yes, verse 3. For Yahuwah shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places, and he will make her wilderness like Eden. Do y'all hear that? So he's going to take this desolate place that looks like a desert. It's deserted, y'all. What y'all see today, which is modern day Jerusalem, that is the Jerusalem of the Amorites. That is not the Jerusalem of the Israelites. That is not the Jerusalem of the Jebusites. Okay. The ancient original Jerusalem is in Tel Arad. Tel Arad. You can go on the channel. I have videos on that, and it would give credit to the brother who found it, but I do not follow him because he has a dark spirit. He has went and left. He is like Saul. Okay. But the Father is revealing unto us his true dwelling place where he was when the Israelites dwelt there. Okay. So it is in the what the Gentile call it is located in the Middle East. Remember, the Middle East is on the continent of Africa. Okay. So let's go ahead and read. He will comfort all her waste places and he will make her wilderness like Eden. So he's going to bring that deserted place back to life. So she's going to what flourish. She's going to have what fruits and plants and stuff. He goes on to say her desert light, the garden of Yahuwah, joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody. So it's going to be a very productive place, just like paradise is in the heaven. Okay. Now we shall go to, I want to take you to Zechariah 7 verse 14. Zechariah 7 verse 14. It says, but I scattered them with a whirlwind among all nations whom they knew not. Thus the land was desolate after them, that no man passed through nor returned, for they laid the pleasant land desolate. So today this land is going to be desolate. It's not going to be inhabited. Do y'all see how this go in with Leviticus 16? So when we look at the heavenly realm and we look at Sheol, flesh and blood cannot go there. It cannot dwell there. However, when we look at the wilderness in the earth, where it's at now, it cannot be inhabited. It's desolate right now because the Father got to do a work among his people first. Okay. Let me see where we go at next. Now I'm going to take you to Ezekiel. Some reason I put Leviticus 15:2. I got to think why. What is in Leviticus 15:2? I'm just talking to myself now, y'all. But let's go to Ezekiel first. I love Ezekiel because he was given a lot of things too that would clear up a lot of confusion with all these so-called doctrines out here. Is Ezekiel 28, and we're going to first start with 13. Ezekiel 28, verse 13. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Yahuwah. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the cypher, the emerald, and the carbuncle. I think I pronounced that correctly, but forgive me. And gold, the workmanships of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou was created. So he's speaking to Satan, who was in the king of Tyre, just like Satan inhabited the serpent in the garden. So he's let us know that Satan was in the Garden of Eden, okay? And we all know that this is the principality that brought down the fall of Adam, that caused also Adam to lose paradise. That is your proof that he was there. Okay. Now we go to Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 25. Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 25. This is a part that I'm telling y'all as proof unto y'all what he's going to do in the day when he gather his people. The first set, remember that's more than one gathering, because you have another set that has to face the beast. Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 25. Then would I sprinkle clean water upon you, And ye shall be clean, and from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I cleanse you. And a new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes. And ye shall keep my judgments and do them. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your God. And I will also save you from all your uncleanness, and I will call for the come, and will increase it, and lay no famine upon you. And I will multiply the fruit of the tree, and increase the field, that ye shall receive no more reproach of famine among the heathen. Then shall ye remember your own evil ways and your doings that was not good, and shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and for your abomination. Do you see? So they have not been cleansed from their sin. They have not been atoned. See, the bride and the 144 have been atoned because what they have received is salvation of Yah. Once you receive Yahushua HaMashiach in you, you are cleansed, you are redeemed. Now do y'all see the difference? Let's read a little bit more. Not for your sakes do I this, saith Yahuwah Elohim. Be it known unto you. Be ashamed and confound for your own ways, O house of Israel. Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, in the day that I shall have cleansed you from all your iniquities, I will also cause you to dwell in cities, and wastes shall be built. So we know this is in the earth. Do y'all see this? Okay. And the desolate land shall be tilled, whereas it lay desolate in the sight of all that pass by. So they're gonna be doing work in this land. Again, just let you know this is in the earth. Okay, takes place in the earth. And they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden. Do y'all hear this? And the waste and the desolate ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited. There it go, that word. First it wasn't inhabited, right? And until he bring his people there, and be a cloud by day and a fire by night unto them, as in Isaiah chapter 4, I believe. Do y'all see this? You want to highlight that verse 35. I got to read that again, but I'm making my notes on what I read unto y'all, because this go deep. So the nation of Israel gonna remain in the earth for 3.5 years. Okay? They go in the wilderness, which we ought to know what the wilderness is. Okay? They're going to be there for 3.5 years. During the same time when the two witnesses prophesied, Revelation 11. During the same time when the bride and the 144 go to the place that is prepared by Yah, which is paradise in the third heavens. Hint, hint. Only the marriage supper of the Lamb takes place in the heavens. Okay, Revelation 19. Let us read verse 35 again. And they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden, and the waste and the desolate and ruined cities are fenced and are inhabited. Okay. Do y'all see what the scapegoat foreshadow unto the nation of Israel? He's taken to a place that wasn't inhabitable, but soon it will be. And notice what's going to take place. This place is going to become like the Garden of Eden. It's not going to be barren anymore. It's not going to be a desert. And this place is no longer be desolated anymore. Okay. Verse 36. Then the heathen that are left round about you shall know that I, Yahuwah, built the ruined places and plant that was desolate. And I, Yahuwah, have spoken it, and I will do it. This is during the Messiah 1,000-year reign. I'm thinking Amos chapter 9, and I think it's Acts chapter 13 or 15. That's the precept for that. Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, I will yet for this be inquired of by the house of Israel to do it for them. I will increase them with men like a flock. And as the holy flock, and as the flock of Jerusalem in her selling feasts, so shall the waste cities be filled with flocks of men, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. Okay, to save some time, because I do want to go to Acts chapter 7, I want you to read Jeremiah chapter 3. I'm going to take you to Ezekiel. I got to find that verse. I know it's 40 something. So I can prove to you they're going to be taking wives. I want you to turn to Ezekiel chapter 44. Ezekiel chapter 44. And I want you to look at verse, we're going to read verse 21 through 22. 21 through 22. But for homework, you need to read Jeremiah chapter 3, and the precept with that is in 2nd Maccabees chapter 2, when they bring back the 10th tabernacle again. Okay? And the reason is, you think about when the purge take place with the nation of Israel, when he faced them in the wilderness, a lot of, I mean, I can't say about the women, but when you read the verses, you can read between the lines. And what you're going to learn is a lot of men going to be put to death. So the nation has to recover. It has to rebuild itself, just like in the days of Rachel and Leah. And the book of Ruth talks about that. So it's going to happen again, because the Father is not going to put an end to this nation, but he is going to have to clean house. He is going to have to get the wicked out. Okay. So when you read between the lines, you have to ask yourself, why is it going to be permitted for a man to take more than one wife? And it's not out of lust, my brother. And you're not going to choose a wife based on her looks or based on what she has to bring to a table. You would choose your wife because the nation has to flourish. It would not be done out of lust. When you understand Torah and the mystery of Torah, you will know when a man is permitted, when a man is permitted to take on another wife. It's not based off of lust. It's not based off because you can do it. No, 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 no. You got to come in the whole volume of the book. Sisters, beware of these brethren who's trying to get a whole house full of women, because I guarantee it's built off of lust. And that's all I'm going to say on that, because we're not going to fall in the stomach blocks of Satan and argue about that. No, because you should be focused on seeking the kingdom and receiving the highest inheritance. And who has the highest inheritance? The bride in the 144. Okay. Okay. Chapter 44. Father's telling me, pride of the eye, lust of the flesh, lust of the eye can get a lot of people in trouble. And this go for brothers and for sisters. Not only just dealing with relationships, but dealing with many other things. Okay. Okay. Ezekiel chapter 44. We're going to start at verse 21. Neither shall, let me bring this up high, because I want y'all to see this. Even I want to highlight this, because I know some of them ain't going to touch this verse. Neither shall any priest drink wine when they enter into the court. So this is talking to the priest, y'all. And let me look at the summary right quick. Okay, yeah, this is talking to the priests. Neither shall they take for their wives a widow. Do y'all hear that? The priests gonna take wives. So it's giving them the standard of how to select a wife or whom they should select. Okay, let's keep reading. So neither shall they take for their wives a widow, so they can't marry a widow, or her that is put away, so they can't take a wife that is divorced. But they shall take maidens of the seed of the house of Israel. So they have to take a wife that is an Israelite, okay? Or a widow that had a priest before. So they can't take a widow who is married to a priest before. Do y'all see this? Now I know it's destroying a lot of doctrines that these brothers out here are preaching, but I just say shame on y'all. You got to come in the whole volume of the book. And when you don't understand something or how to judge a matter, you need to seek the Father. How we seek the Father now? Because we don't have a high priest in the earth. We seek him through Yahushua HaMashiach for those who have received the new covenant. And he will give the answer to all things. Here are the side notes and the precepts to Ezekiel chapter 44. Now to the part that I really want to go into, y'all. I want to go into Acts 7 so you can understand the exodus that took place back then. It's the same thing that's going to take place now in the wilderness when he bring the nation of Israel out. It's going to happen again, but they're not going to have no 40 years. So when you get a chance, read Acts chapter 7. This is dealing with Stephen's testimony, and he reveals a lot of great deep things. Okay. But we're going to read a part of this tonight. We're going to read from verses 37 to 53. Okay. And see what he says. Because we already know the Father, Yahuwah, the Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, and the Ruach HaKodesh, who is the glory of Yah, the beauty of holiness, were there. They were there in the wilderness with the children of Israel. And remember what King Solomon says, nothing new neath the sun, so history will repeat itself again. This is why it's so important to remember these things so you will not err like your ancestors. Do you hear me, Israelites? It go for Gentiles too, but I really want my Israelite brothers to hear this because y'all are falling into the same rut like your ancestors. Okay? Acts chapter 7. Stephen permitted to answer to the accusation of blasphemy showeth that Abraham worshipped Yahuwah rightly, and how Yahuwah chose the fathers before Moses was born and before the tabernacle and temple were built. That Moses himself witnessed of the Messiah, and that all outward ceremonies were ordained according to the heavenly pattern, to last but for a time. Now you begin to understand why he took away those things. There was a foreshadow of heavenly things to come that was already established in the beginning. Do y'all see this? Again, watch all them parts. Let us keep going. Reprehending their rebellion, the murdering of the Messiah, the just one whom the prophets foretold should come into the world. Whereupon they stoned him to death, whom committed his soul to Yahushua, and humbly prayed for them. Okay, let's go to verse 37. That whole chapter is good to read. Okay. This is that Moses which said unto the children of Israel, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me. Him shall ye hear. Do y'all hear this? Because we can see that he was there with them in the wilderness. We can see him in the new covenant, and we know he's coming back again. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel. Do y'all hear this? He was there with the angel. Okay. Remember the cloud by day and fire by night, which spake to him in the Mount Sinai, and with our fathers, who received the lively oracles to give unto us. So Yahushua HaMashiach spake to Moses in Mount Sinai and to our forefathers. To whom our fathers would not obey, but thrust him from them, and in their hearts turned back again into Egypt. Did y'all see this? Underline hearts. Now, this is our ancestors. They rejected the word. They rejected the Messiah because they wanted to go back to Egypt. They left out of Egypt, but Egypt still came with them. In other words, they couldn't circumcise Egypt from their hearts. Do y'all see this? Do you see the connection? They want to be heathens, but yet they was given the best. Mm. All right, let's keep reading. In their hearts turned back again into Egypt, saying unto Aaron, make us gods to go before us. For as for this Moses, which brought us out of the land of Egypt, we want not what is become of him. Do you see how their faith is? They think they were forsaken. Mm. And they saw great signs and wonders. Y'all got to really think about this thing now. Do you see that our people had a eye condition, and they had a heart condition, and they had an ear condition? Do y'all see this? These were some blind folks, because our Father magnified himself through great powers, signs, and wonders, and they still couldn't see, nor could they hear. These folks are really in some darkness. But let us continue to read. And they made a calf in those days, and offered sacrifice unto the idol, and rejoiced in the works of their own lands. And rejoiced in the works of their own hands. Then Yahuwah turned and gave them up to worship the hosts of heaven. Underline that. Do you understand who that host of heaven is? The angels, the principalities. Go back and read Deuteronomy 4, Romans 13, Ben Sirah 17, verse 17. Read the book of Jubilees, the first book of Enoch. They want to worship what the other nations worship. Okay. They want to be like the heathens. Okay, so Yahuwah gave them up to worship the hosts of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets. O ye house of Israel, have ye offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? See, they did all this in the wilderness now. Yea, ye took up the tabernacle of Molech and the star of your god Rephaim, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away. Oh, and I'm sorry, and I would carry you away beyond Babylon. So he did that. Cause they still carry on this foolishness, even though he took them out of Egypt. Okay. Notice what else came out of Egypt. Read Exodus 12, the hosts of heaven, those spirits, those principalities, those angels. Okay. But Israel want to worship that, which makes no sense. That makes no heavenly sense. But let us keep going. Verse 45, which also our fathers that came after brought in with Yahushua into the possession of the Gentiles, whom Yahuwah drave out before the face of our fathers unto the days of David, who found favor before Yahuwah, and desired to find a tabernacle for the God of Jacob. But Solomon built him an house. Howbeit, the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet. Now, you know that's a mystery upon mystery there. For we are now what? The tabernacle, and soon he shall bring his house that he dwell in to be among us in that great day. Okay, verse 49. Heaven is thy throne, and earth is thy footstool. What house will ye build me, saith Yahuwah? What is the place of my rest? Do you all hear that? What's the place of our Father rest? I'm sorry. Have not my hand made all these things? Now, who is this hand? Go back to Genesis 1 and John chapter 1 in the book of Hebrews. Ye stiff-necked and uncircumcised in the heart. Underline that, y'all. Because it seems like this is the main characteristic that Israel is bearing today. Now, not all Israelites, but I'm talking about as a nation of people. Because within this nation, we have the elect who are not stiff-necked and uncircumcised in the heart and in the ears. Do you see how the Father is touching this? But let me read this. Ye stiff-necked and uncircumcised in the heart and ears. See? ye do always resist the Holy Ghost. As your father did, so do ye. Do y'all see this connection? They doing it again. And they're going to do it when he bring them in the wilderness. They're going to resist him. Okay? Something to really think about. Which of the prophets have not your fathers persecute? See, have I not our ancestors persecute the prophets? And they have slain them which showed before of the coming of the just one, of whom ye have been now the betrayers and murderers. They got blood on their hands. And there's a curse. Read Zechariah chapter, I think it's chapter 14. Let me look it up. Because Zechariah talks about that curse that the father put on the nation for killing his son. David talks about it in the book of Romans, which is Paul talks about it. Okay. Let me see. Can I find it? Let me see. Oh, yeah. Zechariah 11. Zechariah 11. When you get some time, read that. Find out what that curse is. Looking for my little mark here. Okay. So, see where we at. Okay, we at verse 51. So this verse, this confirmed what I told you earlier. The nation of Israel would still be what? Stiff-necked, uncircumcised in the heart, uncircumcised in the ears, and they're going to resist the Holy Ghost. How? Some of them not going to receive the new covenant. Some of them going to reject the Messiah. Some of them going to claim that they're following it, but they're going to reject the Spirit, which is a comforter, by not doing what is right in the sight of the Father's eyes. In other words, they're not going to keep the commandments. And I'm not just talking about the everyday tasks you see, such as not eating pork and doing all that. I'm talking about the things that deals with the heart that can defile a man. It goes deep. All right, verse 52. Which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted, and they have slain them which show before the coming of the just one, of whom ye have been now the betrayers and murderers. So they murdered the Messiah. So we have blood on our hands because our ancestors said, put his blood upon our heads and our children's heads. That's what they told Pilate. Go back and read the gospel. Who have received the law by the disposition of angels and have not kept it. When they heard these things, they were cut to heart and they gnashed on him with their teeth. But he, being full of the Holy Ghost, looked up steadfastly into heaven and saw the glory of God, underline that, and he saw Yahushua stand on the right hand of God, and said, Behold, I see the heavens open, and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of God. Then they cried out with a loud voice and stomped their ears and ran upon him with one accord and cast him out of the city and stoned him. And the witness laid down their clothes at a young man's feet whose name was Saul. Now you know who Saul is, y'all. That's Paul. And they stoned Stephen, calling upon Yahuwah and saying, Lord, Yahushua, receive my spirit. So Stephen called upon the Father in heaven, saying, Lord, or Adonai, Yahushua, receive my spirit. And he kneeled down and cried with a loud voice, Lord, lay not this sin to their charge. And when he had said this, he fell asleep. So he understood why they was doing it. They were still in darkness. Satanists had their ears. And because they were listening to Satan, they killed him because they did not understand the things he was saying that was revealed by the Spirit of Yah. Okay? Like I said, you got to read Acts 7. Because you're gonna see it. We're seeing it now, but it's going to be seen again when he bring the nation of Israel into the wilderness. So I had said enough in this video. This video gonna be a little bit over than 2 hours and a half, but I hope that you enjoyed the video. But most importantly, I hope you understand the mystery of the scapegoat. Let me go back to my picture. Going into the wilderness and what that represents. For we see a threefold representation of this. Okay, bring my goat. Let's see. Here go the picture, but I am gonna change the setup where you can at least see me. See, not that setup. Let's see here. This one. So what we see here is a representation that would take place with the bride in the 144. For now we understand that they would go into paradise that's located in the third heaven, and there is the tree of life, and they would partake in the fruits that are produced in that wilderness, that heavenly wilderness where our Messiah rested there too. Okay. Then we also learned that there is a wilderness for the wicked, and that wilderness is Sheol, a place where the wicked go. And they would dwell there until the great judgment day, known as the great day, when you look at the Feast of Tabernacles, and they will face the Most High Yah and receive their final judgment, and this including the angels too, and they will be cast into the eternal lake of fire. Okay. Then we have the nation of Israel, known as the mercy group, that is revealed in Romans 11, and explain why they are the mercy group. For our Father will have mercy upon them because he loved them so much. And through this mercy, it's going to redeem a righteous remnant of them for those that make it. Also, I forgot to mention you want to read Ezekiel chapter 20 when you deal with the nation of Israel, for this is when he's going to bring them under that rod and bring them back into that covenant. And he's going to cleanse them because they didn't receive the covenant that the Messiah made. So he's going to give them the new eternal covenant that is written in Hebrews 11, Jeremiah, I think it's Jeremiah chapter 31, and read Ezekiel 20. He's going to bring them in that. Hebrews chapter 8, Jeremiah chapter 31. Also read 2nd Ezra chapter 13. Let me correct that. With Ezekiel 20. Okay. So he got to cleanse them, y'all. And you see why he has to cleanse them. It's all listed because they didn't receive his son in the first time. So through this time of redemption for those who are alive at that appointed time, remember, you got to be alive at that appointed time. And he's going to select one from a family, or, as the prophet Jeremiah say in chapter 3. And then also while he's bringing them out, he's going to bring them rebels out. Now these leaders and false pastors or whatever, he's going to bring y'all out, and y'all going to have to deal with him and face his judgment. He's not playing, because you caused many of his sheep to turn from him. Whether you are calling yourself an awakened Israelite or whether you're not awakened, you have to answer for what you did. Okay. So in this wilderness of the earth, as we read in all those verses, when he get them right with a new heart and new spirit, okay, and he cleansed them of all their iniquities, that's very important, cleansed them of all their iniquities, then they'll be allowed to enter into the Holy Land, which shall be restored like the Garden of Eden, or like Eden again. It will no longer be desolate. It will no longer be barren, and it will be a place where it's inheritable. Okay. So you probably wonder where all this tie in. Okay, here's the highlights. We are expecting the last wicked one to come, which is the anti-Messiah. When he reigns upon the whole earth, then you will have the two witnesses to come. And during this time, the bride and the 144 is in the place of God, that's prepared by him. The elect of Israel, or the elect of the nation of Israel, is in the place. Is in her place. Okay, that's in the earth for 3.5 years. Because this last wicked one has to reign for a short time. Remember, he's given a short time because this is when Satan is thrown out of heaven for good. He cannot enter back into the heavens, y'all. He cannot. So him and his angels are here on the earth, and they are angry. They are mad because they don't have that much time. Again, watch the other parts to understand the history of this with the angels. So 3.5 years, it's going to be hell on earth. And the rest of the nation, and the those who are of the nation of Israel, and those who bear the testimony of the Messiah, will have to face the beast for the 3.5 years. It's gonna be rough. Also during this time, we will have the marriage supper of the Lamb to take place in the heavens. This is why this is by invitation only. This is why the Messiah gave you the parable of the 10 virgins. For the 5 had what? The Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit dwelled in them. How you get that? Again, you have to receive the new covenant, which is the new marriage. The other 5 did not have the Holy Spirit, but even though they are maybe even though they may acknowledge him, or they may not acknowledge him, this is why they have to go through what they go through. Then after that time has passed, the Messiah will come back with the 144,000. Read Revelation 7, 14, and 15 to take down the beast, to put an end to his kingdom, and then he will establish his father kingdom in the earth for 1,000 years. Then when that take place, then when that is fulfilled, then the Father will come with the great judgment day and the new Jerusalem of the heaven with the tree of life. I hope y'all enjoyed this lesson. For this was, y'all, this was a powerful lesson. I don't know about y'all, but I also too learned a lot. I want to give all praises. I want to give all honor to our Father in heaven, y'all. For we know it was him that revealed these things and no other. I want to thank him for sending his son to save us, to give us another chance. Because when you understand the history of why Adam fell, when you understand the history of why the Father had to bring the flood, you will understand there is another party involved. And this party involved, we are no match for it takes a son of heaven for them. It takes the second Adam for them. All right, I have said enough in this video. My brothers and sisters, continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for it's truly at hand. We can see the signs in the heaven and the earth. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10. And for those who have no one to baptize you, you can do this yourself. Go into your bathroom and submerge yourself in water. For the water is the second witness in the earth. And as we had learned it from the other parts, from parts 1 through 7, we learned the Father has poured his spirit upon all his creation. Therefore, the water can make a report unto him of those who enter into the new covenant. For the water is the second witness in the earth that go in hand with the word, who is YAHUAH HaMashiach. For the spiritual and the physical go hand in hand. For the heaven and the earth go hand in hand. For your body and your soul and your spirit, do y'all see? Hand in hand. The two connect together, they work together. Something to really think about. All right. Love y'all all, and shalom.